Welcome to WeeStars Stories, a place where stories of old come alive, tales filled with mystery, magic, and timeless lessons. Today, we bring you a story of courage and cleverness, a story of a young shepherd who proved that sometimes the simplest heart can find the greatest solutions. Are you ready to join us on this enchanting journey? Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a mighty king whose name inspired awe throughout his kingdom. He lived a life filled with splendor, but his truest treasures were his devoted queen and their beautiful daughter, a princess whose laughter and joy brought warmth to the coldest of hearts. The king loved them dearly. Yet one day, fate dealt him a cruel blow, and his beloved queen fell ill and died. From that moment, the princess was engulfed in a silence so profound that not a single word escaped her lips. Her silence was unbroken, leaving the king heartbroken and desperate. The king's worry grew with each passing day. He called upon the finest doctors and healers from every corner of the kingdom, seeking answers to cure his daughter's silence. Yet despite their best efforts, each physician declared the same verdict: the princess was perfectly healthy. Her silence, they said, was of her own choosing. Days turned into weeks, and the king's despair only deepened. He pondered for hours on end, hoping to find a way to reach his silent daughter. Finally, in a moment of inspiration, he issued a royal decree, proclaiming that any man who could make the princess speak would win her hand in marriage. Messengers were sent to every town and village, spreading the news far and wide. The promise of marriage to a princess, and the prospect of becoming the next king, drew merchants, healers, and noblemen from all over the land. Yet one by one, each suitor failed to break the princess's silence. Then, one day, a young orphan shepherd who worked tirelessly for a wealthy man heard of the king's challenge. Despite his humble status, he was filled with a strange hope, a spark of determination, and decided to try his luck. When he arrived at the palace gates, he was met with sneers and jeers from the royal advisors and noblemen, who scoffed at the very idea that a lowly shepherd could succeed where the kingdom's finest had failed. They tried to turn him away, but the king, driven by desperation, allowed the young shepherd to approach the princess. The young man entered the grand hall, and there, seated on her throne with an air of ethereal beauty, was the silent princess. Without uttering a word to her, he took a seat and began to tell a story, his voice calm yet filled with a captivating warmth. Once, there was a father who had 3 sons, he began. The eldest was a carpenter, the second a tailor, and the youngest, an artist. One day, the carpenter visited his father's home and found a piece of wood lying on the ground. Inspired, he took out his knife and carved the wood into a beautiful wooden doll. Then he left, leaving the doll behind. Days passed, and the second son, the tailor, came to visit. He noticed the doll and, admiring its craftsmanship, decided it needed a dress. With delicate hands, he fashioned a lovely gown from fine fabric, dressing the doll before he, too, went on his way. Finally, the youngest son, the artist, visited his father's home. Upon seeing the doll in her dress, he was enchanted. Taking out his paints, he began to add color to her face, giving her cheeks a rosy blush and eyes that sparkled. The doll looked so lifelike that it seemed ready to speak. A week later, the father noticed the doll and, believing one of his sons had created it especially for him, decided to give all his wealth to the one who had brought it to life. Summoning his 3 sons, he asked, "Who among you made this doll?" The young shepherd paused, drawing the princess's undivided attention. All 3 sons replied at once, "I did." The father was baffled, unsure whom to reward. He remained silent, lost in thought. As the shepherd's story ended, he fell silent, a mysterious smile playing on his lips. Unable to contain herself, the princess leaned forward, her eyes alight with curiosity, and asked, "Who received the inheritance?" The shepherd's face broke into a delighted smile, and with a spark of triumph in his eyes, he answered softly, "The one who made you speak." Sometimes, it takes a pure heart and a clever mind to uncover what others cannot. True wisdom isn't about wealth or status, it's about understanding what lies in the hearts of others. The shepherd teaches us that with patience, kindness, and a little creativity, even the most difficult challenges can be overcome. And that's how a simple shepherd won the heart of a silent princess and changed his life forever. Thank you for joining us on WeeStars Stories, where every tale holds a treasure for young minds and old. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you won't miss our next adventure. Keep dreaming, keep wondering, and remember, sometimes the smallest voices hold the biggest magic.